Ozempic is generating more than $15 billion every year. Think about that for a moment. 15 billion. And honestly, I understand why. Millions of people are searching for a solution to stubborn belly fat, especially once they pass 60. But as a physician, there's something that doesn't sit right with me. What if I told you there are 9 simple foods, nothing fancy, nothing exotic, just everyday grocery store items that cost less than $2 that can activate the very same fat control pathway Ozempic is designed to influence? No injections, no prescription, no monthly bill that drains your wallet, and none of the unpleasant side effects that land so many people in doctors' offices and emergency rooms. Before we go any further, there's something important you need to know. If you're over 60, excess belly fat isn't just about appearance. I'm not talking about a little extra softness around the waist. I'm talking about visceral fat, the hidden fat stored deep inside your abdomen that surrounds vital organs like your liver, pancreas, and intestines. This is the type of fat linked to type 2 diabetes. It's closely connected to heart disease, and it's constantly releasing inflammatory substances into your body day and night. What makes it even more frustrating is that it becomes increasingly difficult to get rid of as you age. It's almost as if your body is working against you. But that doesn't have to continue. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 9 foods deserve a place in your shopping cart, why they work, what they do inside your body, and how to combine them into a simple eating approach I call the GLP-1 plate, a strategy that may help support many of the same natural processes targeted by expensive weight loss medications. If that sounds useful, subscribe to the Weird Lab and let's dive in. Pause. Before we get to those 9 foods, you need to understand why losing belly fat becomes such a challenge after 60. Once you understand what's happening inside your body, the solution starts making a lot more sense. There are 3 major changes that create what I like to call the belly fat trap. The first is hormonal change. As we get older, cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, often rises. At the same time, testosterone levels tend to decline in men, while estrogen levels decrease in women. When stress hormones increase and sex hormones decline, the body becomes much more likely to store fat around the midsection. It's one of the most common patterns we see. The second issue is muscle loss. This process, known as sarcopenia, begins earlier in life but becomes far more noticeable after 60. Why does that matter? Because muscle is metabolically active tissue. It helps your body burn calories even when you're resting. When muscle mass decreases, metabolism slows down. A slower metabolism means fewer calories burned and a greater tendency to store fat. Over time, that cycle feeds itself. The third factor, and perhaps the most important, is increasing insulin resistance. As you age, your cells often become less responsive to insulin. To compensate, your body produces more of it. The problem is that elevated insulin levels encourage fat storage, particularly around the abdomen. In other words, high insulin sends a clear message to the body: hold on to fat. Pause. This is where Ozempic enters the conversation. Ozempic belongs to a class of medications known as GLP-1 receptor agonists. GLP-1 is a hormone your digestive system naturally produces after you eat. Its job is to help regulate appetite, slow stomach emptying, and support healthy blood sugar control. Ozempic works by mimicking that hormone at a much stronger pharmaceutical level. But here's the detail most people never hear. Your body already knows how to make GLP-1 on its own. It isn't something that only comes from a medication. Research shows that certain foods can encourage specialized cells in the gut, called L cells, to release more GLP-1 naturally. Will the effect match a prescription-strength drug? No, but it can support the same biological pathway in a steady, natural way without relying on injections. And these foods come with additional benefits. They can help calm inflammation. They nourish beneficial gut bacteria, and unlike some weight loss medications, they may help support muscle preservation rather than contribute to muscle loss. Now let's talk about the foods themselves. All 9 are inexpensive, easy to find, and available in almost any grocery store. Pause. The first food may be one of the most overlooked nutrition powerhouses in the country. Black beans. A simple can often costs less than $1, yet most people walk right past them. Here's why that's a mistake. Black beans are packed with soluble fiber. When this fiber reaches the lower digestive tract, beneficial gut bacteria begin breaking it down through fermentation. That process produces compounds that stimulate the same L cells responsible for releasing GLP-1. In other words, you're helping your body activate its own natural appetite regulating system. But that's only part of the story. Black beans also contain resistant starch. Unlike regular starch, resistant starch isn't fully digested in the small intestine. Instead, it travels to the colon where it feeds healthy bacteria and helps reduce dramatic spikes in blood sugar after meals. Research suggests resistant starch may also improve insulin sensitivity, making it easier for your body to manage glucose effectively. And eating them couldn't be simpler. Open the can, rinse the beans, add them to a salad, soup, grain bowl, or side dish. No complicated recipes required, just a can opener and a few minutes. For less than $1, you're giving your body tools to support many of the same natural pathways that expensive medications are designed to influence. Pause. Food number 2 is oats, not the flavored packets loaded with sugar. I'm talking about plain rolled oats or steel-cut oats. A serving typically costs around 50 cents. What makes oats special is a type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan. When beta-glucan reaches the digestive tract, it forms a thick, gel-like substance that slows digestion and helps keep blood sugar levels more stable. Even more importantly, it has been shown to support the release of GLP-1 along with another appetite-regulating hormone called PYY. Together, these hormones help send a message to the brain that you've had enough to eat. For adults over 60, oats offer another significant advantage. Beta-glucan has been associated with reductions in LDL cholesterol, often called bad cholesterol. So while you're working toward a healthier waistline, you're also supporting heart health at the same time. As for preparation, it doesn't get much easier. Mix half a cup of oats with milk the night before and leave it in the refrigerator for overnight oats. Or cook a warm bowl on the stove in just a few minutes. Simple, affordable, and effective. About 50 cents for a breakfast that helps support fullness long after you've finished eating. Give it just a few minutes, and your digestive system begins signaling the release of more GLP-1 long before you've even finished cleaning up after your meal. Pussy? Let's move on to food number 3, and this one catches a lot of people off guard. Sauerkraut. Yes, simple fermented cabbage. A single jar costs around $2 and can easily last several days, sometimes longer. Most people think of sauerkraut as something you pile onto a hot dog, but it's actually one of the most powerful probiotic foods you can buy. Just one serving can provide billions of beneficial microbes, including strains like Lactobacillus, Leuconostoc, and Pediococcus. These bacteria help reshape the environment inside your gut and influence the way your body handles energy and fat storage. Here's why that's important. A healthy gut microbiome produces compounds known as short-chain fatty acids, especially butyrate and propionate. These compounds act like messengers. They communicate directly with the cells in your gut that trigger GLP-1 production. At the same time, they help calm chronic inflammation throughout the body, something that becomes increasingly important after 60 because inflammation plays a major role in the buildup of visceral fat. So, sauerkraut isn't simply adding more good bacteria to your digestive system. It's helping create the conditions where your body can naturally generate more of its own appetite-regulating and metabolism-supporting hormones. One important note, make sure you're buying refrigerated sauerkraut. Many shelf-stable versions have been heat processed, which destroys the live bacteria that provide the real benefits. Look for raw, unpasteurized varieties whenever possible. And you don't need much. A forkful or two alongside your meals is enough to start making a difference. Pause. Food number 4 is one that has spent years unfairly getting a bad reputation. Eggs. At roughly 25 cents a piece, they're one of the most affordable sources of high-quality nutrition available. For decades, many people were told to avoid eggs because of cholesterol concerns. But modern research has painted a very different picture. Large population studies involving hundreds of thousands of participants have found little evidence that moderate egg consumption increases heart disease risk in otherwise healthy individuals. The idea that eating cholesterol automatically translates into dangerous blood cholesterol levels simply isn't that straightforward. In fact, your liver manufactures far more cholesterol on its own than most people realize. So why do eggs deserve a place on this list? The first reason is protein. One large egg contains about 6 grams of complete protein, including all the essential amino acids your body requires. If you're over 60, maintaining muscle should be a top priority. Muscle loss accelerates with age, and every pound of muscle you preserve helps keep your metabolism stronger. A stronger metabolism means your body is better equipped to resist fat accumulation around the midsection. Protein also helps increase feelings of fullness by stimulating satiety hormones, including GLP-1. This nutrient plays a critical role in liver health and fat metabolism. Your liver is responsible for processing and managing fat throughout the body. When choline intake is inadequate, fat can begin accumulating in the liver, which may worsen insulin resistance and make belly fat harder to lose. Many older adults aren't getting enough choline without realizing it. 2 eggs in the morning provide around 12 grams of quality protein, along with a valuable amount of this essential nutrient. Simple, inexpensive, effective. Pause. Food number 5 may not win any popularity contests. Canned sardines. A tin usually costs around $1.50. But when it comes to nutritional value, sardines deliver far more than their price tag suggests. They're among the richest natural sources of omega-3 fats, particularly EPA and DHA. And these omega-3s are especially valuable because they target one of the major drivers of belly fat, chronic inflammation. Most people think visceral fat is simply stored energy. It isn't. Visceral fat behaves like an active organ. It continuously releases inflammatory substances into the bloodstream, creating a cycle that becomes difficult to escape. More inflammation contributes to greater insulin resistance. Greater insulin resistance encourages more fat storage. More fat storage leads to even more inflammation. The cycle keeps feeding itself. Omega-3 fats help interrupt that process. Research has shown that EPA and DHA can significantly lower inflammatory markers within just a couple of months. For adults over 60, there's another major benefit. Because sardines are typically eaten with their soft, edible bones, they provide an impressive amount of absorbable calcium. A single can supply roughly a third of your daily calcium requirement. So with one inexpensive food, you're supporting heart health, reducing inflammation, strengthening bones, and helping your body manage stubborn belly fat more effectively. Eat them on whole grain toast, mix them into a salad, or simply enjoy them straight from the tin with a squeeze of fresh lemon. It's hard to find a better nutritional bargain. Food number 6 is actually a drink ingredient rather than a traditional food. Apple cider vinegar. And at roughly 15 cents per serving, it's probably the most budget-friendly item on today's list. Its secret lies in a compound called acetic acid. Acetic acid influences the way your body processes carbohydrates. When consumed before a meal, it can slow the breakdown of starches into sugar, which means glucose enters the bloodstream more gradually. That creates a chain reaction of benefits: smaller blood sugar spikes, lower insulin release, and fewer signals telling the body to store excess energy as fat. Several studies have shown that consuming 1 or 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar before meals may significantly reduce post-meal blood sugar elevations. For individuals trying to manage weight, blood sugar, and metabolic health simultaneously, that's a meaningful advantage. Researchers have also suggested that acetic acid may support the activity of AMPK, an enzyme often referred to as the body's metabolic master switch. Interestingly, this is one of the same pathways stimulated by physical activity. No, apple cider vinegar isn't a substitute for exercise, but it may provide additional support for the body's natural fat-burning processes. The easiest way to use it is simple. Mix 1 tablespoon into a large glass of water and drink it about 10 to 15 minutes before your biggest meal of the day. No complicated protocol, no expensive supplement, just a small daily habit that can support healthier metabolism over time. Just make sure you always mix it with water first. Drinking vinegar straight can wear down tooth enamel and irritate the throat over time. 1 glass, a few cents, and the way your body handles that meal afterward may be noticeably different. Pause. Food number 7 is frozen blueberries. And yes, frozen specifically. They're usually less expensive than fresh berries, available throughout the year, and research shows they maintain nearly all of their nutritional benefits after freezing. What makes blueberries so special is their high concentration of anthocyanins, the compounds responsible for their deep blue and purple color. These plant compounds belong to a group called polyphenols, and they have a powerful effect on metabolism. One of their key actions is activating AMPK, an enzyme often described as the body's metabolic control center. When AMPK becomes more active, the body shifts away from storing energy and becomes more efficient at using it. Muscles pull in more glucose. Fat is burned more effectively for fuel, and the creation of new fat cells slows down. But that's only half the story. Many of the polyphenols in blueberries travel through the digestive tract without being fully absorbed. When they reach the colon, they become food for beneficial gut bacteria. Those bacteria then produce short-chain fatty acids, which help stimulate the release of GLP-1. So, with blueberries, you're supporting 2 important pathways at once. The anthocyanins help activate AMPK, The gut bacteria help encourage GLP-1 production. Two separate mechanisms working toward the same goal. Add them to oatmeal. Blend them into a smoothie, or enjoy a handful straight from the freezer. For about $2 a serving, frozen blueberries may be one of the smartest additions you can make to your weekly grocery list. Pause. Food number 8 is lentils. And when you look at the cost, it's almost hard to believe how much nutrition they provide. A cooked serving can cost around 30 cents. One reason lentils stand out is something researchers call the second meal effect. This refers to the ability of lentils to improve blood sugar control not only during the meal in which they're eaten, but during the next meal as well. In other words, if you eat lentils at lunch, your body may handle dinner more effectively hours later, even if there aren't any lentils on your dinner plate.